Welcome to Coffee Break. Thoughtful conversations for a busy world. Let's begin.
I was standing in line at a coffee shop this morning, just waiting for my order, and I started watching the baristas.
Okay.
And it was just absolute chaos behind the counter. I mean, you had steam flying everywhere, orders being shouted, cups slamming down, milk frothing. It looked incredible.
Right. It looks like productivity.
It looks like hustle. It had this, this frantic energy that makes you think, wow, things are really happening here.
That high energy, high motion environment always feels like something important is going on. It feels like the definition of work.
Exactly. But then, while I was waiting, I looked over at a table in the corner. There was a guy sitting there. I'm going to assume he was the manager or the owner. He was perfectly still.
Oh, interesting.
He was just staring at his spreadsheet on a laptop. And he looked bored out of his mind.
It agrees. Mm-hmm.
He took a sip of coffee, typed maybe one number, and then just stared for another minute.
Yeah.
And it hit me. We are biologically programmed to think the steam and the noise is the work.
Yes, that's the action. That's the movie.
But the guy staring at the spreadsheet, that's probably where the actual business is happening. That's where the profit is being calculated, where inventory is being managed, where the real, hard, slow progress is being made.
That is a perfect opening image for what we're going to be talking about today.
Right.
It's this fundamental disconnect we have between motion and progress, between the noise of starting something and the quiet of actually finishing it.
And we are doing this by diving into a really fascinating piece of content, a deep dive into an episode of Coffee Break, specifically number 048. It has a title that, quite frankly, sounds a bit like a philosophy thesis, but it hits like a brick to the face.
Agrees. It does.
It's called The Mundane Architecture of Meaningful Progress.
But it's a heavy title, isn't it? It sounds very structural, almost boring by design.
It does. But the subtitle is even ruder. The subtitle is, Nobody Warns You How Boring Real Progress Looks.
And that's the part that gets you.
I felt that. I felt personally attacked by that subtitle.
It's the truth nobody puts on the movie poster. We all want the highlight reel, but this source is handing us the blooper reel, or maybe more accurately, the B-roll, where it feels like nothing is happening at all.
Exactly. So welcome to the deep dive. Our mission today is pretty clear. We're going to unpack this idea that boredom isn't a bug in the system, it's a feature.
Right.
We're going to look at why your brain actively lies to you about what success feels like, why we are so addicted to the start of things, and why the most successful people in the room, the ones we all envy, are usually just the ones who have figured out how to tolerate or maybe even enjoy the absolute monotony of the middle.
This is one of those topics that once you see it, you really can't unsee it. It changes how you look at every single project in your life.
Every single one.
Whether you're launching a startup, writing a novel, trying to learn a language, or just, trying to get back in shape. This applies. It's like universal physics for human achievement.
So let's start at the beginning. The dangerous, sexy beginning. The source material talks about the dopamine trap of starting. I think we all know this feeling viscerally, but walk us through what's actually happening there. Why does day one feel like a party?
It's the honeymoon phase, pure and simple. I mean, think about the last time you decided to start something totally new.
Boy.
Maybe it was learning Italian, or, training for a marathon, or buying a whole bunch of specialized equipment for a hobby you've never actually done before.
For me, it was sourdough bread during the pandemic. Like every other person on the planet, I was all in.
Perfect example. Okay, take us back to day one of sourdough. What does that feel like?
Oh, it feels amazing. It feels like a transformation. You buy the expensive organic flour, you get the Banneton basket with the little linen liner, you buy that little razor blade thing to score the bread.
The whole kit.
The whole kit. You watch the YouTube videos of the guys with the aprons and the perfect crackly crust. You haven't baked a single loaf yet, but you feel like a baker. You feel artistic. You feel, wholesome.
That's the key right there. You haven't baked a loaf, but you feel like a baker. Neurologically, your brain is just flooded with dopamine.
A feel-good chemical.
Well, yes, But it's important to understand that dopamine isn't just the pleasure molecule, it's the molecule of more. It's the molecule of anticipation.
Oh, okay.
So it's not really about the reward itself, it's about the possibility of the reward. When you buy that flower, you aren't experiencing the reality of a messy kitchen, flour in all the cracks of your floor, and a burnt flat crust.
No, God, no.
You are experiencing the fantasy of the perfect loaf.
It's pure potential energy. There's no friction yet. I haven't failed.
Zero friction. And because there is no friction, your brain projects this perfect straight line to success. You visualize the outcome, the applause from your family, the taste of the warm bread with butter, the after photo on Instagram where everyone comments on how talented you are.
Right.
And that visualization feels almost as good as actually doing it.
In some ways, it actually feels better. Because in the visualization, I don't have to do the dishes.
Exactly. And the source makes a really interesting point here about identity. In the beginning, you're essentially trying on a new identity. I am a baker, I am a runner, I am an entrepreneur, without having paid the tax for that identity yet.
Ooh, pay the tax. I like that.
It's unearned confidence. It's like wearing a costume to a party. For a few hours, you get to be someone else, but you haven't done the work to actually become them.
It's like buying a lottery ticket. You pay $2, and for the next 3 days until the drawing, you get to psychologically live in a mansion. You're paying for the fantasy.
That's a great analogy. The start is a cheap lottery ticket. The buy-in is low. It's just the cost of the running shoes or the domain name.
Right.
The problem is, unlike the lottery where you just have to wait, a project requires you to actually do something on day 2.
And day 3.
And day 20.
And that leads us to the inevitable crash. The source calls this the letdown. Because eventually the flour runs out, or the dough doesn't rise, or you just get tired of cleaning that sticky bowl, or, in the running example, it rains.
Right. And this is the collision between biology and physics. Biologically, your brain craves novelty. It is a deep evolutionary adaptation. We pay attention to new things because new things might kill us, or they might feed us.
Survival instinct.
Totally. A new berry bush? Great. A new predator? Bad. We are hardwired to notice new. And old things we've seen 1,000 times, we learn to ignore them to save cognitive energy.
So once the sourdough process becomes routine, mix flour, fold, my brain just stops giving me the happy chemicals.
Precisely. The novelty burns off like fog on a sunny morning. It's a finite resource. And what is left behind when that fog clears?
The work.
The mechanics. The repetitive, unsexy, sticky mechanics of the task.
And this is where the source says most people derail. It's not because the task got harder, but because the feeling changed.
Yes. We interpret the loss of dopamine as a loss of validity. This is the crucial logical error the source identifies. We think, I'm not excited anymore, therefore this must be the wrong project for me.
Or, I'm bored, so I must have lost my passion. We conflate excitement with correctness.
That's a devastating mix-up. We confuse boredom with wrong direction.
And we do it all the time.
We do. And it's tragic because, as the source argues, that boredom is actually the signal that you have finally arrived at the real work. You've left the tourist phase, and you're now a resident.
But instead of unpacking our bags, we panic and book a ticket to the next shiny destination.
We start a new project to get that dopamine hit back. We go buy a new set of fancy pens to start journaling, which we'll do for 3 days.
We become starters. I know so many people like this. I am sometimes people like this. My computer has a graveyard of domain names I've bought. Half-written first chapters, gym memberships used exactly 3 times. We become addicted to the launch.
It's an addiction to the feeling of progress rather than the reality of it. The source uses a dietary comparison here that I think is quite brilliant. It compares the start to a sugar rush and the work to a balanced meal.
Oh, I like that. The candy versus broccoli model of work.
Right. Novelty is sugar. It hits fast, it spikes your energy, it makes you feel invincible for about 20 minutes, and then you crash hard.
And it has no nutritional value.
None. It doesn't build muscle. It doesn't sustain you. You cannot survive on it.
It's empty calories. But God, it tastes good.
It does. But the mundane architecture, the real work, is broccoli and brown rice and lean protein. Eating it is fine. It's not a thrill ride.
Nobody's posting an ecstatic review of steamed broccoli.
No. You don't take a bite of brown rice and scream with joy. It's repetitive. It's plain. But if you eat it every single day for 6 months, your physiology changes completely. You become stronger. The result is miraculous, but the process is mundane.
We want the result of the broccoli with the feeling of the candy. That's the quote that really stuck with me. We want the IPO, but we want the path there to feel like a constant launch party.
And the universe just doesn't work that way. We've been conditioned by media to expect what I like to call the montage effect.
It's a Rocky montage. Or the one in The Social Network with the coding.
Exactly. The hacking montage in a tech movie. You see the guy typing furiously, the music swells, scenes flash by, coffee cups piling up, seasons changing outside the window, and bam, 3 minutes later, he's hacked the mainframe or built the billion-dollar app.
They conveniently cut out the 400 hours of debugging where he was just staring at the screen crying because he missed a semicolon somewhere.
Exactly. They cut out the boredom. Because boredom is not cinematic. You cannot film someone writing code for 10 hours a day and make it interesting. It's just a person sitting in a chair. So we grow up thinking that passion looks like high-speed drama.
And when we hit the slow parts in our own lives, we think the movie's broken.
We think the script is bad. But actually, we're just in the second act.
And the second act is where all the building happens. That brings us to the next major section of this deep dive. The invisible architecture.
I love this phrase.
The mundane architecture of meaningful progress. It sounds so solid. It sounds heavy and real.
It is solid. The source argues that routine is a builder, but it builds in a way that nobody notices at first. Think about that word architecture. Before you see a skyscraper, what happens?
They dig a hole, a massive, ugly hole in the ground.
For months, maybe even a year. If you walk past a major construction site in a city, for the first 6 months, it looks like a disaster zone.
It's just mud and trucks and noise.
And it looks like nothing is going up. In fact, they're digging down.
It honestly looks like they're moving backward. If you didn't know how buildings were made, you'd think they were destroying the city, not building it up.
That is the boring middle of your project. You are pouring the foundation. You are digging the hole. To the outside world and even to yourself, it can feel like you are moving backward.
You're asking yourself, I'm working so hard, why don't I have a skyscraper yet?
Well, because you're still curing the concrete in the basement. That's why.
Let's bring this down to earth with some specific examples for the listeners. Because pouring concrete is a great metaphor, but what does that look like for, say, an entrepreneur or a creative person?
Okay, for an entrepreneur, the sugar rush is the launch party. Or printing the first set of business cards. That feels great.
Very tangible.
The concrete, on the other hand, is answering customer support emails on a Tuesday night when you'd rather be watching TV. It's debugging a line of code that keeps breaking the whole system. It's refining a pitch deck for the 50th time because the font on slide 12 is slightly off. It's the admin.
It's the stuff that makes you want to pull your hair out, not because it's intellectually hard, but because it's just so tedious. It feels like chores, not business.
Yes, it's the administrative friction of existence. But that friction is the architecture. Without the emails, without the debugging, without the perfectly aligned pitch deck, there is no product. There is no business. That boring work is the business.
Okay, what about for skill acquisition? Let's say learning a language or an instrument.
It's even clearer there. The start is buying the beautiful acoustic guitar and imagining yourself playing a solo on stage. The architecture is playing the G major scale until your fingers feel like they're going to bleed.
And then doing it again.
And then doing it again and again for weeks. It creates results that are completely invisible. You don't wake up one morning and suddenly know kung fu. You lay down neural pathways, layer by microscopic layer, through sheer repetition.
It's the wax on, wax off principle from the Karate Kid Mr. Miyagi knew.
He really did. And the source highlights a concept here called the lag time. This is crucial for anyone out there who's feeling discouraged right now.
The lag time. Okay, so this is the delay between doing the work and seeing the result, right?
Correct. In the physical world, cause and effect are usually immediate. If I drop a glass, it breaks. Instant feedback. Cause, dot drop. Effect, noise, and mess.
If I touch a hot stove, I get burned instantly. My brain learns very quickly not to do that.
Right. But in the world of meaningful progress, complex, long-term progress, there is a massive latency. Cause and effect are often separated by months or even years.
That is the danger zone.
It is the valley of death for projects. You are putting in inputs, time, money, effort, sweat, and you are seeing zero outputs. The graph is just a flat line.
Right.
You read a blog post today. Who reads it? Maybe your mom. Maybe nobody. You go to the gym today. Do you look different in the mirror tonight? No.
In fact, you might look worse because you're all bloated and red in the face.
Yeah.
And you're sore.
Exactly. So your brain, which is at its core a logical machine, looks at the data points. It says, I have worked hard for 30 days. The results are zero. Therefore, the strategy is ineffective. Stop wasting energy.
It's a survival mechanism, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm out hunting for food and I walk east for 30 days and see no animals, I should probably stop walking east.
Precisely. Our brains are not evolved for long-term compound interest. They're evolved for immediate return on calorie investment. So when you are in the lag time, you are fighting millions of years of evolution telling you to quit and conserve energy.
It's like you're gaslighting yourself.
Yeah.
You're doing the right thing, but every single signal from your environment and from your own brain is telling you that nothing is happening.
There's a great metaphor. I think it comes from James Clear originally, though the source alludes to it differently, about the ice cube.
Oh, I think I know this one.
You have an ice cube in a room that is 25 degrees. You heat the room to 26. The ice is still solid. 27. Still a solid block of ice. 28, 29, 30, 31. Still solid. You have put in all this energy, raised the temperature 6 degrees, and visually nothing has changed.
You feel like a failure.
Yeah.
You feel like you've just wasted all that fuel for nothing.
But you aren't failing. You are storing potential energy. And then you hit 32 degrees, and suddenly, in a rush, the ice starts to melt. It looks like an overnight success, but it wasn't. It was the work you did at 26 degrees when it felt like nothing was happening that made it possible.
The work you did when it looked like nothing was happening, that's the whole key.
Yes. The invisible architecture is the heating of the room from 25 to 31. It is invisible, but it is real physics. It's the most important part of the process.
So if we accept that this lag is normal and that the routine is necessary, then we have to fundamentally change how we view boredom. This is the crucial pivot the source talks about. Reframing boredom.
This was my favorite part of the Coffee Break episode, hands down. The idea that boredom is often a sign you're doing it right. This is a complete paradigm shift for most people.
It feels so counterintuitive. We were raised to think boredom is bad. Boredom means you're uninteresting, or the topic is dry. If a class is boring, the teacher is bad. If a movie is boring, it's a flop.
Okay, but think about it in terms of systems. If a system is chaotic, if there are fires to put out every single day, if emotions are running high, that is exciting. It's dramatic.
It makes for a good reality TV show.
It does. But it means the system is broken.
Right. If my car engine is on fire and exploding, that's very exciting.
Very exciting, very memorable. You will tell that story for years. But if your car is working perfectly, the drive is boring. You don't even notice the engine is there. You just get where you're going.
So boredom equals reliability. Boredom equals a system that works.
Boredom means you have tamed the chaos. It means your processes are functioning as they should. If you're an entrepreneur and your day is boring, it might mean you finally set up the automations correctly. It means the customer support tickets are being handled. It means the drama is gone. We need to stop looking for drama as a proxy for progress.
That is huge. Say that again?
We need to stop looking for drama as a proxy for progress.
Because drama feels like movement. I'm
Yeah.
busy, I'm stressed, I'm putting out fires. That feels like I'm important, like things are happening.
But usually it just means you're inefficient. Real mastery looks calm. Real mastery looks routine. If you watch a true master at work, a sushi chef, a surgeon, a master carpenter, it doesn't look frantic. It looks almost sleepy.
It's rhythmic.
It's rhythmic. Cut, slice, place. Cut, slice, place. It's the mundane architecture in motion.
There it is again.
And here's where the source identifies the quitting point. And this is the real tragedy of the whole thing. People often quit right before the results show up, specifically because they mistake that new, calm boredom for failure.
This breaks my heart a little bit. I mean, just thinking about how many great books weren't written, or businesses weren't built, or scientific discoveries weren't made because the creator got bored and thought, well, I guess the magic is gone.
The narrative error we make is conditioned by media, by those montages we talked about. We expect a crescendo. We expect the music to swell as we approach the finish line. When the music stops and it's just the quiet sound of your own typing, we panic. We think the story is over.
But the source argues that when it gets boring, that's when the compound interest is about to kick in.
You're quitting right when the bank account is about to start growing exponentially.
You are walking away from the construction site just as the foundation is fully cured, right before the steel beams finally go up, all because you got tired of looking at a big slab of concrete.
It's devastating.
So we have to deal with the feelings. This brings us to the emotional challenge. Because knowing all of this intellectually is one thing. Feeling it on a Tuesday morning when you'd rather stay in bed is something else entirely.
The feel-good fallacy. This is a key takeaway from the source. Progress doesn't always feel good while it's happening.
We want our work to feel like play. We've all heard that, quote, find a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life.
And I think that quote has probably done a lot of damage, because even in a job you love, even in a calling you are deeply passionate about, there will be days that feel like work. There will be drudgery. There will be spreadsheets.
There are always spreadsheets. So how do we do it? How do we separate the emotion from the data?
You have to, and this is hard, you have to divorce how you feel about the work from the validity of the work. Just because you feel bored or tired or uninspired does not mean the work you are doing isn't valuable.
Right.
The value of the email you send is exactly the same, whether you felt excited sending it or whether you felt grumpy and resentful. The recipient doesn't know your emotional state.
The outcome is independent of your mood.
Precisely. And this is the mark of adulting or just true professionalism. A professional shows up, an amateur waits for inspiration, an amateur waits to feel like it.
I'm just not in the headspace to write today. I've said that a million times.
We all have. But can you imagine if a surgeon said that? I'm not really feeling the vibe to operate on your heart today. Let's maybe try next week.
I would find a new surgeon very quickly.
You would. A professional knows that feelings are weather. They just pass. The work is the landscape. It stays. Sometimes it's storming, sometimes it's sunny, but the ground is still the ground. You still have to walk across it to get to your destination.
And it does take a psychological toll. The source is very honest about this part. It calls it the emotional challenge of slow progress. It can be incredibly discouraging. It requires a different kind of mental stamina. It's not a sprint. It's not even a marathon. It's a pilgrimage. It's a long, slow walk.
And sometimes it's a very lonely walk.
Very lonely.
Because going back to the beginning, nobody is applauding the boring parts. Nobody is liking your Instagram post about the 3 hours you spent formatting a spreadsheet correctly. You are alone with the process.
Okay, so we know the trap. We know why it happens. We know our brain wants the candy, not the broccoli. But we have to eat the broccoli to get the success we want. The source material, thankfully, doesn't just leave us there in the problem. It offers some practical ways to stay committed.
This is the strategy session. This is the how-to. How do we hack our own brains to keep going when the dopamine is gone?
The first one stood out to me immediately. Micro wins.
This is critical. If the big result, the IPO, the marathon finish line, speaking fluent French, is years away, you cannot wait that long for a reward. Your brain will starve, so you have to create artificial visibility.
So tracking the habit, not the outcome.
Right. Don't look at the scale every day. Look at the calendar. Did you go to the gym today? Yes. Put a big red X on today's date. That X is your win. That X provides a tiny, satisfying hit of dopamine. You are gamifying the process.
This is the don't break the chain method that people talk about.
Exactly. The Jerry Seinfeld method for writing jokes. Your goal shifts from being funny, which is subjective and out of your control, to not breaking the chain of X's. You are rewarding the input, not the output.
Because you control the input.
You control the input. You can control whether you sit in the chair and write for an hour. You cannot control whether the world thinks what you wrote is brilliant.
I do this with reading massive books. Sometimes the book is 800 pages and I just feel like I'm getting nowhere. But I track pages read today. If I hit my goal of 20 pages, I win. It doesn't matter if the book ends in a month or two. I won today.
That is exactly it. You are shifting the success metric from the lagging indicator of is it finished to the leading indicator of did I show up? If you can get addicted to showing up, the finish line eventually takes care of itself.
Okay, the next tip is a bit of a mindset shift. Fall in love with boredom.
This sounds like a Zen koan, but it's actually really practical. Athletes do this incredibly well. Think about an elite swimmer. They spend 6 hours a day staring at a black line on the bottom of a pool, back and forth, back and forth. It is sensory deprivation. It is the definition of boring.
How on earth do they do it?
They reframe the sensation. They don't think, ouch, my shoulders hurt, this is awful, I should stop. They think, this burn means my muscles are growing. This is the feeling of getting faster.
They associate the pain with progress.
And with boredom, they zoom in. They find fascination in the microscopic details of their technique. Is my pinky finger entering the water at precisely the right angle? Can I make my kick just 2% more efficient?
They find fascination in the nuance. So the cure for boredom is curiosity.
Exactly. If you are bored, you aren't looking close enough. When you look at something broadly, it's boring. I'm just running again. But if you zoom in, how is my breathing? How is my foot strike? Can I relax my shoulders just a little bit more? Suddenly there is data. There is engagement. There's a problem to solve.
I also like the idea. I've heard of competitive boredom. Like, I can be more bored than you.
Whatever works. If you can frame boredom as a competitive advantage, suddenly becomes bearable, maybe even satisfying. You can tell yourself, my competition is quitting right now because this is tedious. I am still here. That means I'm winning.
It turns the suffering into an advantage. This feeling of boredom is the feeling of me getting ahead.
Precisely. It becomes reps. You're not just enduring boredom, you are actively putting in the reps of being disciplined.
The source also mentions adopting a professional mindset, treating the project like a job, not a hobby.
This is a big one. We treat our hobbies based on how we feel. I don't feel like painting today, so I won't. But you don't call your boss and say, hey, I don't really feel like coming in today. The vibe is just off.
I mean, some people might try.
They might try once, but you go to work because you are a professional. You have a commitment.
Even if Tuesday is boring.
Especially if Tuesday is boring. If you treat your side hustle or your novel or your fitness plan with the same non-negotiable obligation that you treat your 9 to 5, you will succeed. The problem is we treat our dreams like hobbies. We give them the leftovers of our energy and our discipline.
That hits home. We give our best, most disciplined hours to our bosses and our, maybe if I feel like it, hours to our own dreams. And then we wonder why those dreams don't materialize.
Exactly. It's a structural problem.
The final practical tip from the source is basically what we are doing right now for everyone listening. It's to anticipate the dip.
This goes right back to the title. Nobody warns you. Well, consider yourself warned. If you start a new project knowing that day 20 is going to be boring, knowing that the dopamine will crash, knowing that you'll question everything, then when it happens, it won't blindside you.
It's not a surprise. It's just part of the itinerary. It's a scheduled stop on the journey.
Exactly. You can greet it like an old friend. Ah, here it is, the boring middle. I was expecting you. You are right on time. Instead of, oh no, something is terribly wrong. I've lost my passion. It takes all the panic out of the equation.
It normalizes the struggle, which is so important.
Normalizing the struggle is half the battle. If you think struggle is an anomaly, you quit. If you know struggle is the path, you keep walking.
So let's bring this all together. We started with that incredible rush of the new, the fantasy, and we've walked through the valley of the shadow of boredom.
We have. We've seen that the brain tricks us into chasing novelty, but that real success is built on the mundane architecture of routine.
We've learned that boredom is not a sign of failure, but actually often a sign of stability and order.
And we've learned that we have to be professionals who show up for the reps day in and day out, regardless of the emotional weather.
It's a journey from seeking sensation to seeking solidity.
That's the headline right there.
So, to the listener right now, if you are in the middle of something, a business, a book, a degree, a fitness plan, and you are feeling just absolutely dead inside about it.
If you're staring at that screen and you hate it.
Celebrate.
Yes.
Celebrate.
Yeah.
Maybe just, crack open a sparkling water.
Yeah.
Because that feeling means you haven't quit yet.
That's right.
It means you are in the building phase. You are pouring the concrete.
You are building the architecture of meaning. It doesn't look like much right now, but it's the only way anything of value ever gets built. The amateurs have already gone home. They left 3 weeks ago when the fun ran out. You are still here.
I want to leave everyone with a thought to chew on. Something that isn't explicitly in the source, but feels like the natural next step. We spend so much of our lives, looking for our passion.
Oh yeah, the search for passion.
And we want passion to feel like fireworks. We want it to feel like excitement, like that day one dopamine rush, but forever.
But what if we redefined it? What if that's the wrong definition?
Exactly. What if we stopped looking for passion to feel like excitement and start looking for passion to feel like the ability to endure boredom? What if passion isn't the fire, but the willingness to chop the wood day after day?
So passion is just the capacity to suffer through the mundane for a very specific outcome you care about.
Right. How would that change what you decide to pursue in your life?
That changes everything. It means you don't choose the thing that excites you the most on day one. You choose the thing where you can tolerate the boredom the best, the project whose tedious parts you hate the least.
It's changing the question from what pleasure do I want to what pain am I willing to tolerate?
That is the question, and it's a much more useful one.
Well, on that cheerful note to go, embrace the mundane, everybody.
Keep digging that hole. The skyscraper is coming.
We'll see you in the deep end next time.
Take care.
Thanks for spending this time with us on Coffee Break. If this conversation stayed with you, you can find more episodes here on the channel. Until next time, take care.